Hi, my name is Ashish, and in this video we will see what is Azure Firewall and how to deploy and configure Azure Firewall. So let me just quickly log on to the portal and take it from there. I am logging on to the portal. So just to brief that what is Azure Firewall. Azure Firewall is a managed cloud-based network security service that will protect the Azure virtual network resources. It's a fully stateful firewall as a service with built-in high availability and unrestricted cloud scalability. We can centrally create, enforce, and log application and network connectivity policies across subscriptions and virtual network. Azure Firewall uses a static public IP address for the virtual network resources, allowing outside firewalls to identify traffic originating from the virtual network. The service is fully integrated with Azure Monitor for logging and analytics. For pricing and SLA, you can check the documentation of Azure Firewall. There are some known issues with Azure Firewall, and the mitigation will have a separate theory section for that. But just to start on how to deploy and configure the Azure Firewall. So we'll have to first of all set up the network. First we'll have to create a resource group to contain the resources needed to deploy the firewall. Then we will create a virtual network, subnets, and a test server. So to start with, I'm going to click on create a resource to create a resource group. I'll mention here resource group. I'm going to click on create. So I am going to create a resource group test. Sorry for the caps. RG, and the region. You can select any region. And make sure that the region that you are selecting, you'll have to create all the other resources in this particular region, because you are placing all the resources that we will create, the virtual network and a virtual machine and the firewall, in the same region. So after that, we'll create a virtual network. So you go here under your resource group section, you will have your resource group that you created. Click on it. You can directly create a resource and place this here, or you can create a resource group here. So I'm going to create virtual network. Here it is. Create. So we'll place it in here. I'm going to create the virtual network. VN as in virtual network. Region would be East US. IP address. In the IP address, you can go with the default address space, the one that is provided, 10.0.0.0/16, and the subnet, this default subnet, you can select it and then you can change the name of this subnet, and I will give it Azure Firewall subnet, and you can give the range as 10.0.1.0/26. You can 25, 23, whatever you want. Right, click on save. And if you want to create a subnet for your servers that you will create, and you will place that servers in this particular virtual network, I can do this. Right, workload and address, you can give 10.0.2.0/24. Right, so you click on next. Review create. You want to go to view create. So now it is deploying your virtual network as well. So let me open up another window and I will create a virtual machine. These resources have to be we have to create them to test the lab of Azure Firewall. So you go here. I will create a VM in this resource group, Windows Server 2016, or you can go with 2019 as well. We can change later as well during the creation of this. So this is here virtual machine. You can give server, you can give any name, right? Region I'm going with East US 2016. You can select 2019 here as well. Type in the username and the password. Inbound rules, you don't have to do it. Risk, go with networking. Make sure the test, this first VNet is this, and the workload, and the subnet is workload-SN. For public IP, go for none. Network security, group management, and select off for to disable boot diagnostics. This one, advanced. We don't want this. Tags, create. And then you click on create. Now this is deploying a virtual machine for us. Now we have to deploy the firewall. So to deploy the firewall into the virtual network, we will go to the portal again. Let it load. And I'm going to click on create a resource. In here I will type firewall. Firewall Microsoft, click on create. Resource group. Make sure that it is under our test resource group that we created or placed every resource. You can add the name as 01. Region would be East US. Availability zone, you can go with none. And the virtual network, I will use existing virtual network, which is this. And then for the public IP address, I'm going to create a new one. You can do firewall -public IP. Okay. I will not do forced tunneling. I will do review create. And I will do create. So it's deploying the firewall now. After the deployment, we'll have to go to this resource group in which I have deployed my firewall. Then I will make a note of my firewall private and public IP addresses because I will need them later. So let me just pause the video and come back. Okay, my deployment is complete. I'm going to go to this. Now I will go to my workload subnet that I created. So this is my virtual network. I click on subnets. This is my subnet in which I have created the server in the VNet. So under networking, I will go for route tables. So this is my workload subnet, right? So in the search bar, I will go to route tables. I click on here. In here, I will click to create a new route table. and I will place it in my existing resource group in which I created my firewall and every other resource for this lab. The location would be East US, and the name of my route table would be let's keep it firewall route. Subscription, create here. Create. So it will create a route table now. So when this would be done, then I will go to my subnet. This is the firewall. This is my VM. I'm going to go to home and I will go to my virtual network here. This is my virtual network. This is my subnet. This is my workload subnet. In here you see route table. This is my route table that I just created, and I will click on save. So I have done a forced tunneling, or I have forced a route. Though I have not created any routes in the route table, but I have associated my route table with one of the subnets in my virtual network. So now I will go to my routes again. This is my route. In here, this is my, and if you see the subnet here, you can associate a subnet from here as well. So let's say you do here, subnet you see here. Now this subnet is already associated, so you can do it from here as well. So I will click on routes. You will click on to add a route to this route table. So the route name would be this, and under your address prefix you would do this, and your next hop type would be a virtual appliance. In the next hop address, I will type the hop address for the private IP address of my firewall. Right, so this is my firewall. This is the firewall private IP address. I'm going to copy it and would paste it here. Click on OK. So any traffic, and this subnet is associated with my VM. Right, so if I go here and I click on my virtual machines, this is my virtual machine, and I go on networking, and the subnet is workload SN, right, and workload subnet has an associated route table as firewall route, in which I have created a route that the traffic is going to internet. The next hop address should be my private IP address of my firewall. So any traffic going on from my virtual machine to internet will now route through Azure Firewall that I've created because of the static route that I have created. And I've placed the IP address, the private IP address of my firewall as the next hop type. But the destination of that traffic going on from my virtual machine is internet. Right. So now you can configure an application rule as well, and it will this application rule will allow the configuration or the outbound access to any site. Let's say we want it to go through google.com, right? Now you will again go to your firewall, and now under settings you click on rules. You click the application rule. So here is the application rule connection. This is the NAT, network rule, application rule. Click on add application rule. Right. So till now, we'll create the application rule in the next video. For this video, you have done the configuration of the firewall and a static rule. So I hope this was informative for all of you guys. If you have any queries, please mention them in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Have a great day.